A young hero who achieved victory in the cat food challenge can now enjoy the sight of many adorable felines around him. But will he be able to handle this new challenge with dignity? This boy was able to win the previous one, but now there are so many more cats waiting for their portion of food. Will our protagonist still remain a champion? Or will he make mistakes while trying to cope with this huge number of cats? And most importantly, what kind of challenges did the boy have to face before finally getting the long-awaited prize? Let's find out. The boy had already learned that it wasn't easy to become a real hero of the cats. It took him several attempts to earn the respect of the proud mustachioed creatures and get him to like him. But having achieved his goal, he decided not to stop there. After all, there were so many cats in the shelter that they all needed attention, care, and affection, not to mention food. Every day, the boy came up with new ways to improve his skills and learn how to handle even the most difficult cats. So when the director of the shelter announced a new feeding challenge, the young man didn't hesitate to take part in it. What did the new challenge consist of? To find out, our hero went straight to the director. "I heard you need my help again," said the boy. "Yes, we do. We have a lot of cats here, and it's not always possible to give them enough food. They get hungry and sometimes even try to steal someone else's dinner. But you're a real cat whisperer, so I think you'll handle it," said the director with a smile. "Of course, I'll participate." And the boy's confidence bordered on arrogance. After all, he'd already won several such challenges and knew the cat's habits better than anyone else. As a reward, the director promised to fulfill his wish. And although no one knew yet what it would be, everyone understood that it would definitely be connected with cats. At the same time, the boy got acquainted with the conditions of the new challenge, and it turned out that in order to win, he'd have to feed all the cats at once. It seemed like an impossible task, especially since there were more than 200 animals in the shelter. But our hero believed in his own strength. The boy found out from the shelter staff that the cats would be released into the courtyard all at once, and he'd have only 1 hour to feed them all. If he managed to do it, he'd win a grand prize. Otherwise, the cats would be left without dinner. The young man prepared thoroughly for the challenge. He bought more than 30 kilograms of cat food, which is almost 66 pounds. Then he put on his fastest running shoes, grabbed a bag of food, and went outside. At the appointed time, all the cats were released into the yard, and the challenge began. Our hero dashed between the animals as fast as he could, scattering food along the way. He tried to feed as many cats as possible. However, some of them simply didn't want to eat. Some were afraid of the boy, some were too full, and some just didn't trust him. As soon as the young man noticed a wary look or hesitation, he immediately stopped. He sat down next to the cat, started stroking it, and only then began to offer it food. It took a lot of effort, but the boy was equal to the task. When half an hour passed, he realized that he wouldn't be able to feed all the cats in time. There were simply too many of them, and he was already exhausted. However, looking at the hungry and disappointed faces of the animals, the young man found a second win. He continued to run and distribute food until the very last minute. When the hour finally passed, all the cats had their dinner and purred with satisfaction. The boy slumped down on a nearby bench, completely exhausted. It seemed like he'd done everything right. All the cats were fed, and no one was left hungry. But when the director of the shelter approached him, he learned that he hadn't fulfilled all the challenge conditions. It turned out that in his excitement, he'd forgotten to take pictures of all the cats that he'd managed to feed. Now he had to start all over again. Of course, the boy was upset, but he knew that he couldn't give up now. After all, the main thing was that the cats were fed. And besides, the young man really wanted to get the grand prize and spend a day with his favorite animals. Therefore, our hero gathered his strength and went to do the challenge again. This time he paid attention not only to the cats that approached him, but also took pictures of those that preferred to stay away. The boy understood that this was the most important part of the challenge, because these timid cats needed to be reassured and shown that they shouldn't be afraid of humans. As soon as the hour passed, he again approached the shelter director. The man checked the photos and admitted that the boy had fulfilled all the conditions. Our hero had won. But before he got his well-deserved prize, he had to wait a little. The fact was that every shelter employee wanted to take part in the challenge and feed the cats, but they couldn't do that during working hours. That's why the director suggested that the boy give everyone a chance and spend the next day at the shelter. Together they'd feed all the cats, and then he'd get his prize. This turned out to be a great idea, because the boy got to know the shelter staff better. They told him about the lives of the cats, their habits and preferences. Also, the young man found out that some of the employees had come to the shelter after losing their own cats. It happened because the Miko virus hit hard, and many people had to make the heartbreaking decision to give away their pets. The boy learned about all the nuances of caring for cats and discovered that he liked it. He understood that this place was special because every employee sincerely loved the animals and did everything for their happiness. After spending an unforgettable day at the shelter, the boy finally got his prize, and it was exactly what he expected. The young man asked to spend another night at the shelter. He slept right in the middle of the cats and spent the whole night playing with the animals. From time to time, the boy looked at the ceiling and thought about how good it would be if all the cats in the world had a home where they'd be loved and cared for. In the morning, he woke up to gentle purrs and realized that he wasn't alone in this desire. After saying goodbye to his new friends, the boy went home. He missed his family very much and couldn't wait to tell them about his adventures. But as soon as he entered the house, he realized that he'd have to return to the shelter soon. The fact was that the boy's parents didn't approve of him spending so much time with the cats. They were worried that he'd catch some disease or get hurt. The young man tried to explain that the shelter was a great place, but his parents didn't want to hear anything about it. However, when the boy told them about the director's offer to spend another night at the shelter, their reaction changed. The parents agreed to let their son go back, but on one condition, that he'd bring the shelter director home for dinner. The boy was very happy. He knew that if his parents got to know the director better, they'd definitely change their minds about the shelter. The young man quickly put on his shoes and went to look for the director. The man was very surprised by the invitation, but he readily agreed. On the way to the boy's house, the director told him how he got the job at the shelter and why he loved his work so much. When they finally arrived, the boy's parents opened the door and immediately invited the director inside. The meeting was very successful. The director told them how the shelter worked, showed pictures of the cats, and talked about their lives. By the end of the evening, the parents had completely changed their minds about the shelter. They even promised to visit the cats someday and see for themselves how well the young man handled the challenge. And this is where our story ends for today. But if you want to see what kind of adventures awaited the boy at the shelter, watch the next video.